Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know.
All right. Well, if Scott, I think we've asked Scott to come because I want these guys to hear also his response of why we have to have this contract with the city.
Okay. Well, I assume it's to keep up on technology, but I don't know that.
I think we'll let him
Okay.
describe. You're just saying the contract is, the verbiage is fine.
Right.
If we accept what it's for.
Right.
Okay.
If you want a contract and you're and you're satisfied with the amount you're paying, then this treats
So
us
can we
fairly.
table this till Scott Jones comes and tells us more about the contract?
Then I also thought Amy was going to be here, Amy Motter, because she had a revision of the agreement, the bed agreement for the juveniles, and I can tell you that as to the form, again, I approve that. It's very simple, for it's only a one-page thing.
And
But
she emailed me in the court today at 1:15, so she said if you guys were in agreement, it's for Cedar Bridge again, and it was an amendment for, and more beds.
More beds, yeah, that was the sad
We're out
part.
again.
That was kind of the sad part was, yeah, we're using up those beds, so.
I told her you guys would sign me if you give her a
All right,
copy.
so, Dan, you're saying that the structure is fine, okay?
right, we had previously amended the master agreement, which this just adds a number of beds to, and it's a satisfactory agreement.
We decided, we desired to purchase 100 additional contract beds to secure detention, so I need a motion if you want to.
I guess I've got one question. Is it just towards it for the end of the year, or what's the term on this?
Okay. We may, I can tell you this. This is another one of those where before we'd sign the contract, it had to be a one-year term. So
That's correct, it's 1 year.
It's a 1 year
This
term.
relates to the contract, which ends every year and can be renewed voluntarily by the party, so it's up and through December 31. It has to be because the master agreement, which is amending, only goes that far.
So, yeah, it's within the contract period.
We just need additional beds, right? We've used up all our days.
Right. At least as it was explained to me.
So 8,900 is the contract.
I'll second.
We have a motion, second discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign.
Okay, that's all I had in the way of contracts or agreements.
Tom, George, you have any questions for attorney?
Yes.
I don't think I've got any anymore.
Right, I have a rough file, but yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Okay.
Later.
Scott, is there any reason he needs to sit through your, okay.
He's reminded me about a couple of things I need to do for him, so
All right,
got that straight.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Wagner.
Here today for a variance request, Sharon Eaton. You do have some information on that. Our home's located at 5601 South 150 East. Typically, wells that were drilled prior to 1997 ordinance are handled by the health department. Those drilled after the ordinance in 1997 are handled by commissioners. The reason why this well, which was drilled prior to 1997, is coming before you today is because the request to build over the existing well and well pit with a deck was denied by myself because in the past we have never allowed anyone to build over their well. That's been the stipulation. And so they came to you guys for a request to build over the well with a deck. You have the paperwork in there that says that their well driller would be able to still access that. They would build an access opening in the deck to service that well and abandon it properly in the future. So that's why it's here before you, because the first request of the health department would be no, because I don't know where to stop. You know, deck, a floor, a slab, a building, a house.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's the reason why I denied it. So.
Are they in the
Yes.
audience?
Sharon and
Okay.
their builder,
Thanks.
Smith.
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you, I have a concern because Tim Smith says it's okay, Greg Hollenbaugh says it's okay, and Mr. and Mrs. Heaton, I'm sorry, whatever, want to vacate the property. I don't see any continuity. I'm quite frankly, I'm reluctant to give approval unless I know.
As with any variance requested or approved by the commissioners, it would be recorded on the deed today if you approved it. My only concern is it opens up another area of, but yes, there would be documented, so any previous or new owners would know that they have to leave that there until it's abandoned property. They do have enough property there to drill a well in the future and state the required minimum feet away from everything.
Oh, okay, that's important to me. So
Yes.
if they were to sell that property, it would be possible to still drill a well and stay away from the septic, stay away from, that's based on the amount of total land they own?
Right,
Or,
yeah, they have to be at least 50 foot away from their septic system, 10 feet from structures, 5 feet from property lines. And they have plenty of room to do that. I've been at the house before, so.
I do agree with the precedent setting, but I guess you have to take every one at a time too, so.
Scott, on this drawing here,
Yeah,
this,
it's hard to see. I'll show you mine. Maybe it's a little bit better. Right here's the well, the pit, existing well pit behind the house. So they'd be making that a deck back there, right over the pit. So,
No door on the deck, just,
That's what we're putting on there.
I'm sorry?
We're gonna put an access hole.
Yeah, they'll
so
put
you
an
can
access
Get down into the well pit.
pull the decking above it.
Okay.
Oh, good.
They'll put a, so you can pull it up and actually service the well.
Well, yeah, I saw that, but I didn't know what the 18 by 18 lid, I didn't know whether they were talking about that's in the well pit or in
That's the new deck.
the deck.
Yeah, the new deck on that. Just that little square right here is the pit.
Okay.
So does that currently fall, as you have it, right in the middle of the deck? It's 7'5" is that, or is it toward the back?
Like, I've got that draw almost to scale. It's like
Almost to
The deck's
scale.
only going a foot past
Okay.
that well pit on both sides.
Is that a
Get
2 or
that.
4 inch well currently?
4 inch.
4 inch well. There will be access to it.
Got an 18 by 18 hole on top of the concrete well pit, and then we'll build one in the deck, right above it, so it'll be right
How
down.
would you compare this request to some where they've been inside the minimum from a structure which we approved?
The only thing why we haven't ever approved anything that's been covered over is because the difficulty in getting to it. Obviously, with boom trucks, you can lean over and you can pull the casing up out of that 4 inch, because obviously it does have a submersible well in it. It's the first of one of a kind. We've had other numerous requests of people wanting to build over a well and say, oh, well, we'll just put a thing in the floor or whatever, or a hole in the roof, and we'll pull it up through the roof. And no, you can't do that. And so I just try to stay with it, because I don't feel like I can make that judgment call. The deck versus a patio versus a driveway or a house or old tool shed or whatever. I don't have
Okay.
that, so it's.
So can you back a well rig up to this
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I
and
think
pull a casing?
Yeah.
a repair truck, yes, not a well truck. You can't drill one in that, but you can.
Well, you're not gonna drill one
Right,
there
but you
anyway.
can get a well repair
So
truck.
you
there.
can get a well repair. Okay,
I'll-
well, okay, I guess I feel a lot better about that then. Okay.
Sir,
You will attach.
Yes, ma'am.
the letter.
this is an old well, and if it should go out, it would dig a new well.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that one
Yeah.
anyway.
This well's,
Okay.
30, 40 years old, so if it were to go bad, we would dig a new well anyway. It's not like it's 5 years old. it's an older well and we would replace it anyway if it were to go bad,
Well,
so.
well, I'm comfortable that you can open the lid on the deck and open the lid on the well, the well cover and go down and work on it. That's, makes me more comfortable.
Yes, and my only concern, as long as it can be abandoned properly to state code, and then I would probably even maybe put something in there where at least the pit itself has to, unless they're gonna use it for the new well, would you ever use it, no, for
No.
the tank or anything?
Tank would go in the house.
Then have it filled with sand and gravel or something, so there's not a vault sitting under the ground to collect water or possibly collapse. or
Child.
something. Right.
Yeah.
Well, you have to abandon the well, you'd have to plug the well
The well
south.
itself, I'm just talking about the pit too.
Yeah.
That the
Well,
pit
It
gets
would
filled.
have to be filled with sand or.
It doesn't have to be, but I would request if you.
Well, and I think it's a safety factor for some child not to fall down in there, so. How they do it, I don't know, but they do it. Just ask Jessica, so.
I would, Mr. Chairman, move that we accept this variance from there as long as the letter is written and attached to the necessary people.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. O'Neill and Mr. Lehman, and/or whatever.
Thanks for the opportunity to present to you today. I want to give you a sheet that will provide you a little bit of background, a little history in terms of the funds that the county has provided to passages, going back to 1986. And if we can, before that, let me do a couple of other introductions. Dave Lehman is here to my left. Our board chair, Randy Holler, is here with us. Doug Brown, who happens to be here, I think, as representative of the chamber in his new capacity there, is with us here today, but Doug is a Passages board member. And then John Dickerson is here with us. John is the executive of the Indiana ARC, of which Passages is a part. And John was due for a visit here, and so this kind of coincided well. And going back after I think Don and I started this conversation about the funds from the county, I did some background and research, and Dave in our accounting department did also, but tried to get some history in terms of this. And I had some conversation with John Dickerson about some of that also in terms of mandatory levies and permissive levies and how some of this had worked, and going back and things that I wasn't real familiar with. So he was a good resource. But as you look at the sheet there, what you see is the funds that the county has given to Passages, again, going back 26 years, I guess, at this point. But those funds have really been used for transportation costs. And with no other transportation system in the county, we have a contract with seniors, and I think that contract, in fact, I just recently signed a new contract with them. Our price there went up. But our cost to the senior center is someplace between $40,000 and $45,000 a year. And then the rest of it is really reimbursing ourselves for the transportation. But we serve in excess of 160 people annually. We have a budget of we have a budget of $5 million plus, just started a new fiscal year in July. And on a daily basis, between the senior center and us, we're transporting someplace in excess of 100 people a day in terms of day programming or other community work or community activities. We didn't have, Dave, I don't know if you want to fill in any of the history with it that you're familiar with?
Some of our research indicated back in the early 70s, when Passages was called the Whitley County Opportunity Center, they were trying to develop ways for people to have employment, and so the county was asked if they would support, and these were the first records that we found where the county was asked to support transporting people to a day program site where there might be work available for them. And at that particular time, that was over in Warsaw Cargo Center. Since I've been with Passages, and that's been since 1993, and our records are a little bit hard to come by before '86, other than board minutes and things like that. But primarily, when I first came in, half of the monies that you were giving us was to be justified with transportation-related costs. The other half was to provide support for those people who were getting that opportunity to do work, whether it's in the community or at our work site at Tower View Industries. And so I think this particular document is just a real nice illustration of the support that you've given us through all the years. And typically, you know, the way costs have risen and things related to transportation. Like Tom said, we're transporting over 100 people, and right now, you know, $1 toward transportation of passages leverages thousands of dollars in Medicaid monies and opportunities for employment for people with disabilities. And you know, the state can allocate all the money in the world to a person, but if they can't get to the job or they can't get to the workshop or the work site, you know, it's meaningless. And so, you know, this is just an excellent way for you to leverage some of the other funds that are available to companies like Passages.
In terms of what Dave was talking about with Medicaid and the monies that we operate under, in the last three and a half years, we have had cuts that have been as high as 10% for voc rehab, down to as low as 3% for group homes. I mean, it's really been a really challenging time for us. And, you know, I've got to tell you, I'm very proud of our staff and what we've done. We've been able to continue to operate, and actually we finished up last year in the black, and anticipate doing so this year. We're experiencing growth right now with clients who are coming to Passages. We've continued to do that, and you know, I think our service is exemplary, our history is exemplary. I think we have an excellent reputation in the community and in the county of Northeast Indiana and in the state as a service provider. I'm very proud of what we do. And the money that the county has given to Passages over the years has been a very important piece to that.
Transportation all in with it now?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think here, Tom, but yes, I don't think, well, the only transportation that would be outside of the county that I think of is when our clients would be going to a specialist. I'm talking about a medical reason outside of the county. Otherwise, I don't think of much else.
No. And these particular costs that we've identified really don't include the people's time, you know, and that's something that sometimes it's reimbursable by the federal government, state government, sometimes it's not. But really, you know, true transportation costs might be double what you're seeing on that paper. That's just more the nuts and bolts of the transportation, paying staff for mileage if they're using their vehicles, gasoline and repairs and things for our own vehicles, and then the contract with the Senior Citizen Center.
So this isn't just Tower View then, this is transportation for,
The whole of Passages.
okay.
Yeah. We have on a daily basis at Tower View, depending on the day, they vary a little bit depending upon the client's program. But we have 70 to probably 85 people at max at Tower View. But then we have other people doing other things in the county or in the community, other parts of the day also.
So I think you just answered my question. Your quote was, we're transporting over 100 people a day. So 75 are coming, roughly 75 are coming to Tower View, and then 25 have other needs.
Other programs.
Of the, you know, to help me with my confusion, who owns the vans at the group homes?
We do.
Passages does,
Okay.
And those are reimbursed through a Medicaid system for each group home.
Right.
Where the costs have to separately be, you know, they have to be categorized by home.
Okay.
And then there's actually a reimbursement system. We have 3 homes, so there's 3 different systems that are going on accumulating cost. Those
Okay,
vehicles
let's
are.
stop that, Dave, because that's not, you have 2 homes in Cherubusco.
No, we have 3 homes in Columbia City. No, we have no homes in Cherubusco.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get cleared up here. The homes in Cherubusco are privately owned by some other firm.
I think, is it
That's true.
And
yes.
they provide the transportation, because they both those have vans,
Right.
and they provide the transportation. So there's no cost of Passages for them to transport the people to Tower View on a daily basis?
That's correct. Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah, and
okay.
we have,
So out of these 75 that's come to Tower View, are you including that number?
no, there might be 20 people out of over 100 every day that are being transported by others.
Okay.
And some might have their parents or
Okay.
a guardian dropping them off or something like that.
Okay. I just, I get confused about this, the homes that are outside. So,
Right.
so you really only have 3 group homes?
We have 3 group homes, but then we have a number of what we call Medicaid waiver homes, where
Yep.
people are living in the community in
Yep.
apartments or other housing units.
Okay. And they need transportation somewhere? Okay. If you have someone living in a Medicaid waiver home that works at Kroger, do you provide the transportation for them to get to Kroger and back home?
Yeah, there's really no one else to do that. So if they have an employment situation, we're providing it.
Okay.
If it's just shopping,
Okay.
we're paid as a provider, but we're not,
Okay.
we're not the landlord in terms of actually, our expenses aren't reimbursed. The government is reimbursing the client through supplemental security and disability income to pay rent and things like that. Well, obviously transportation is a big part of their daily life, and we're there 24/7 with them. So we're providing lots of transportation for all kinds of reasons.
What size is your fleet? And what does your fleet consist of?
Oh, that's a good question. We have, I want to say, we have 3 group home vans, which are unique to each group home, and that serves 24 people. And then we have approximately 4 to 5 other vehicles. Some are used in the community every day. Some, for example, we had one vehicle that was used by some administration and sales and that kind of thing. We reimburse probably 40 to 50 staff people for mileage, because the logistics of all of what we're doing with everybody going different places, a fleet of even 10 or 15 vehicles wouldn't be adequate.
Okay.
So we ask staff to take clients short drives, usually it's community settings, and we reimburse them 41 cents per mile.
Well, I guess I want to be really assured that you and the Whitley Transportation are working as closely together as you can, because I think that's, I've been in this community a long time, and I've been on more focus groups than you can shake a stick at, and every focus group, they said, what do we need in Whitley County? It was transportation. And it looked to me like, I guess I thought we were kind of getting towards meeting that goal with that, and I just want to make sure that we're fully utilizing their transportation services.
We utilize it as much as we can. In our relationship with them, it's not just a matter of them being kind of a cab service, so to speak, but, with various issues that clients who we serve come to us with, the people who are the drivers, become a very important piece of that in terms of understanding who those clients are, what their needs are, sometimes behaviors or things that can happen.
Right.
So we work very, very closely with them.
Yeah, good. That's good. I'm glad. That's what I really want to hear, is that they need to accommodate your needs if they want your business, and I guess that's kind of my question. I don't have Jackie Hake here to ask, but I mean, do they want your business? That's.
They work hard with us, and I think we equally work hard with them.
All right.
It's a good mutual relationship.
Thank you.
You are, according to what I read and talking to people, branching out to purchase such as the Lindbergh Center, correct?
We purchased it, correct.
I hear there's possibility of you building where the old hospital was. Is it worth us knowing where and how that's financed strictly in Whitley County? Or how are those being done if you're on such a limited $5 million budget?
We purchased the lumber building for $285,000. We purchased it in March of 11, a year ago, 18 months ago, and we purchased it with reserve funds.
Okay.
And right now, we're scheduled to, are on course, I think, to purchase the other 5+ acres that the old hospital itself actually sat on, and close on that by the end of this month. And that agreement was signed at the time that we signed to purchase the lumber building. And, you know, Tom, in terms of your question and our limited funds, and we are, and I mean, our margins are very skinny. Passages has a long history of being very conservatively managed. And, you know, we operate Passages as you would operate another business. I mean, our business happens to be a human services business, but we operate it as such. And, you know, having reserve funds was an important piece of it. And our, what is our debt ratio is 7?
Yeah, 8%.
8%. Yeah, so we have been as frugal as we could be in terms of what we do.
I think one of the things that I hear a lot is needs of not only businesses and service businesses and individuals in the county. How does one qualify for passages?
People with intellectual and developmental disabilities, people who have been diagnosed as such.
Are we meeting the needs of Whitley County, or do we have some that we're missing?
Well,
Do you feel?
I think there's certainly always room for more in terms of what we do. I think that, you know, to the best of my knowledge, we're meeting the needs of those who are here. There's certainly other additional programming and things that I'd like to see us be able to do. But, you know, we are where we are, and you know, we've dealt with the struggles in the economy in the last 3-4 years as everyone else has.
You know, it always goes back, you know, what can you afford and what you cannot afford, but we just signed a contract, I believe it was here a little while ago, for an additional 100 beds at a kind of a correctional institute. And we already had 90 beds there. Now we have 190. And out of a population of 33,000 in the county, and these people are from the ages of 14 to 17, that doesn't paint a very good picture for the county, and if we're meeting the needs. And I happened to talk to the lady in charge of that, and even though some of them are repeaters, it still gets to the point of why, or are we meeting the needs of these people when you're almost 200 beds for a small community? You wonder what the larger cities are facing. And that costs, you know, we pay almost $9,000 up front just to reserve that bed.
You know, Tom, you mentioned the hospital site and maybe developing further on that. And, you know, we've developed affordable housing in this community, you know, helping low to moderate income people, as well as people with disabilities, you know, for over 15 years. And that site is an excellent location. It's in a neighborhood already. But, you know, there may be an opportunity for us to do that again. If we do that, excuse me, we generally use grant monies and federal HUD monies from the sale of federal tax credits. And so, you know, the type of debt burden that comes from a project like that, and let's just say it's a $3 million project, is only a couple $100,000 for passages and Whitley crossings. So those kind of things are very competitive, and the funding is not easy to get your hands on, but don't make a lot of money annually on those kind of things. great asset for the community.
Well, your grant monies are kind of going like this,
Yeah,
they're
there's,
shrinking.
mhm.
So finding that out in all areas, regardless of fire stations or sewer and water or whatever it is, they're drying up.
Tom, going back to your question again, in terms of are we doing all we can, I became part of the disability community 34 years ago. And in terms of what we do today and what we were doing in 1978, it's a very different world in terms of providing services for individuals with intellectual disabilities. If you took that back another 10 years beyond that 34 years, or barely even that, you know, the vast majority of the people who we serve at Passages would have been living in a state residential facility. And today, people are much more productive, and we're providing a level of service that wasn't provided before. And I see that world of services continuing to evolve. I see it changing a lot. And I've seen it both being part of Passages, and I also see it as a parent. My son is 34 years old, my son with Down syndrome. And I think we live in a much richer world today, and I think we live in a much richer world when people with intellectual disabilities have the opportunity to be part of the community also. In the 3.5 years that I've been at Passages, I have found Whitley County and Columbia City to be very welcoming to our people, and I think that speaks very highly of the sense of community that's here. But the community is a broad fabric, and we're a piece of that fabric.
Oh, you talk about change, yeah, you start 86 here. You know, when I think it was 68, a long time ago, I come to the high school here. Being in charge of discipline, we were concerned about long hair and shirt tails up. Now, some school corporations have to apply dress codes for teachers. Huh?
I don't think that's a bad
What
idea.
kind of,
That's my opinion.
no. What kind of examples is what I'm saying, you know, you can, I guess you can look for blame and stuff, and certainly you people do a good job. It is a service, not only to the city proper, but to the whole county. And I did not realize you paid $45,000 to the senior transportation. That's quite a whack. And I don't know, that's probably not negotiable, because we talked to Jackie Haight, we need every penny they get, you know, so.
She and I sat across from each other. She wasn't real negotiable.
Yeah. But when she started charging our veterans a certain fee to take them to the hospital in Fort Wayne, why, we negotiated a half price with them. Because we were getting a call and veterans could not afford it. You know, they might have to go twice a week. And I know some that they'll furnish their own transportation a couple times a week. So, you know, they could spend $60, $70 just on transportation. No further comments from me.
Tom, I have a question for you. We spend over $180,000 a year for Bowen Center. Do you have any interaction with the Bowen Center?
Yeah. Going back to, I think it was Tom's question, everyone we serve has a diagnosis of an intellectual or developmental disability. Many of the people we serve also have a psychiatric issue. And in fact, many of the people we serve have an intellectual challenge, a psychiatric issue, and also a physical health issue. So, but yeah, we have a lot of interaction with Bowen Center. And our one group home, in fact, the one on Weston Drive, there's a mental health center group home right across the street there in that cul-de-sac. But yeah, I mean, interaction outside of that.
I just, some of my thought was the money that we spend for
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah, I
Bowen
know.
Center, if we could divert some of that money to Passages, I don't know if that's possible to do, but I guess that's kind of in the back of my mind, that $189,000 that we spent this year, and we really don't know what we're getting.
Well, now you need to get the CEO from Bowen Center to sit in that chair, and he'll probably tell you in a hurry.
Yeah, that's a non-negotiable state legislature mandate. We just pay them. They send us a bill, we pay them. So I'm with these guys. have no problem with the Bowen Center. It's a wonderful operation. But why is that not sticking a gun in our back and saying, your taxpayer? I mean, because honestly and truly, we just really fail to find what value we're getting. So,
Can I ask you a question here? When this conversation started, Don, with you and I a few weeks ago, and that's when I called John Dickerson, and John kind of filled in for me some of the history in terms of the mandatory levy and the permissive levy, and I don't know if there's anything that John can add that would be helpful to you or not.
well, John, if you can add anything, we'd love to hear it, because we certainly, I think, we take care of a lot of segments of the population, and mental health is very important, but we have never gotten an explanation of what we get from, we're just using the Bowen Center because that's who we're under contract with. So do you have an explanation of what services we would get?
Well, one of the things being old is you've been around a long time, and I've been with the ARC since 1973. In the late 60s, the General Assembly in their wisdom went two different paths. The mental health centers law was established that it was mandatory, and county government had no choice. They were given a set amount, you got to fund it. On our side of the table, we approached it a little bit differently and said, this is designed to be permissive, that the community agencies like Passages would come in every year and explain what they needed, ask for the support, and we've had incredible, as the history shows, some very great support over the years. I want to thank you for what you've done. But it was two very different philosophies, and I travel around the state a lot, and your comment is very similar to a lot of other county leaders who wish they had a better understanding of what that has happened. At times we've been asked by legislators, well, shouldn't you be advocating to mandate this also? Why not take it out of the hands of county government? And our philosophy with leaders like Tom and Dave has always been, we feel very positive about the connection that we have right now, and do not want to come in and put another mandate on local government and saying you have to do this, because we feel there is a real strong relationship that coming in and justifying what we use is important. Is there a risk? Sure, because these are tough times for local government, really tough times for everybody. But that goes back to the late 60s, not saying they're wrong and we're right. We just came at it from a very different view of, it was permissive. We had two different pots of money to use. One was for services, one was for construction, and looking at things like that in the days when we were building buildings. But it's just kind of a very different approach. But your reaction is very similar to what I hear, because it's, there's not a choice about it. It's just what it is.
We could be underpaying and have
Absolutely.
no idea.
Absolutely.
That's my whole problem is when we give money Passages, we pretty much know where the money's going to go. But when you just get this carte blanche, you got to pay us. Well, by the way, this year your contract will be for $179,600. Okay, what's it for? Well, we provide health services for your community. Like, we're just not getting sufficient answers.
Well, and your point's really well taken, and we have some counties that go above what a mandatory amount would be. And there are times that they fluctuate in their support because of what they have available. And we felt that's been a much better way to go than to say, you've got to have a mandate, here's what you have to do, and no questions asked. So it's been just kind of a different approach that we've taken on our side of the table. And again, we appreciate your support over the years and the hard work. And you really are, Whitley County's blessed with Passages. Again, being around a long time, you see a lot of different counties in Indiana, and of course all 92 of our counties think they're unique and different, and they are. But what's been achieved here is really quite remarkable. And Tom and Dave and the board leadership work very hard to do things that aren't available in a lot of our counties. And I'm really proud of Whitley County and Passages for what they've achieved. And thank you for your support. And to the volunteer leadership, that makes a difference. When people live right in the community working on it, and I know a number of you have been on the board in the past, that makes a huge difference. And that's, again, part of the reason we believe in the voluntary contribution or permissive is that it keeps everybody accountable along the way.
Well, I think too, I would just say, I think both of them, passages, they do provide a service. The only kind of difference was, and our CEO was in here 2 or 3 weeks ago explaining, and gave us some reasoning, but I think it's not a question of how much we would give, is you will give this much. And we like, our budget gets strained too, very strained. Every year the council occupies these seats and tries to find out where they can get the money to do things without raising the taxes on the whole community or county population. So it is a struggle, but I think it's a credit to our people who support both, that we can, for a small county, still have both operating and doing what they do best. And that is service to the people who need it. So.
If I can provide just one more piece of information totally aside from this, but Thursday and Friday of this week, we're moving offices, our admin offices. We're exiting the Marshall building, and we're moving into the Van Buren building on the 2nd floor. And we'll have about the same amount of square footage, a little bit more, not a lot more, but a little bit more. And actually better laid out square footage for us. But the Marshall building, as I'm sure you're aware, is being taken over by the school corporation. And we're part of the exit strategy, so we're the last nonprofit to leave there, but we'll be leaving. And would certainly invite you to come and visit our new offices and to see anything else that we do. Our group homes, our Tower View facility, talk further if you'd like about the lumber building. We'd certainly be open for that. We've been involved in the capital campaign. I know I've talked to George and Don about the capital campaign. We need to raise approximately $1 million. At this point, I think we're probably at, I was tallying this morning, I think we're just under $620,000. We have a couple of large asks that are out right now, one for $100,000, another one for $50,000. But we've been fortunate, starting with the Community Foundation that gave us $100,000. Star Financial gave us $75,000. We got $75,000 from AWS Foundation. And I forget a few along the way, but anyway, we're moving along and progressing, and still really in the quiet phase of the campaign. Plan to do a community event, hopefully maybe in October, at the Lindbergh Building. Go a little more public. So if any of you know where there's approximately $400,000 laying around collecting dust for Georgia.
Well, we appreciate your coming. Are you making today a specific request to us? As you know, this group can't give you a dime.
Right.
Okay? Well, I probably could. I probably have a dime in here that I could give you. That's a penny, sorry. It's county council. It's county council, so it's where the money's going to come from. But are you here then to make a specific request today for 2013?
Well, we would certainly like to keep it where it is, at the level that it is at minimum. And if there's an opportunity for a greater amount, we'd certainly welcome that opportunity. We're aware, as you indicated, that it's really tough times. And, we've tried to be discreet. If times were flourishing a little bit more, we'd probably readily be there to ask for a little bit more. But we're aware of the constraints that we live under also. So we would certainly hope it's not less, and we're available to the table for more conversation too.
We appreciate that. Do you have any? Did you see anything about passages in the budget for 2013?
Under your budget, development disability of $35,000.
Okay, so it's in the commissioners. Okay. So 35,000 is in the budget for 2013.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your
That
time.
the budget has not been adopted. It won't be adopted for a couple months yet, so, but that's where it's at.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you for your history and
Thank
support
you.
for passages. Appreciate it.
Thank you.